An alarming, lawless situation in many neighbourhoods there in Cairo. Let's broaden this out a bit wider to the overall protests, which of course are nationwide. Sitting there in the US, what are your feelings towards the events in Egypt?
Well, I think this regime has already gone. I mean, there's no way, there's nothing this regime can do that would save him. I want to say something about the military. Earlier, I've heard one of your guests and you were a bit unsure about where the military would be, where they would stand really between the government and the protesters. There are two groups of people in the Egyptian military. The generals who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and the younger officers and the soldiers who make, I think an officer in the Egyptian army might make as little as $200 a month. And these people are the ones in the Tahrir Square, and they will not shoot at the demonstrators because they have no stake in the survival of the regime. The generals, however, have, so far they seem to still be loyal to Mubarak. They ordered them to impose curfew. They've been ordering them to impose curfew for the past 3 days. These moves that you see in the streets in Tahrir Square, the flights by the F-16s over the Tahrir Square, I think are childish measures ordered by Mubarak himself in order to scare people. They won't get scared, and the generals are going along with him. So whatever confusion you see in the streets is because you have two groups within the military, those who do not have a great stake in the survival of the regime and those who do. I don't think that there is anything the regime can do to save itself. All the scare tactics won't work, including the looting, because people know now that the police force that was killing them in the streets of Cairo since the 25th of January have put on plain clothes and are attacking them in their homes in order to prevent them from protesting. We've seen that in Tunisia. It's a tactic that has been used before. And there are fortunately enough people in Egypt to protect their homes and to continue their demonstrations in greater numbers. If the military, however, manages somehow to try to attack these people, there will be more bloodshed between the regime and the demonstrators, which are only going to strengthen their resolve. My real concern is that the United States has been known classically to try to sabotage and hijack revolutions through military coups against the dictator, the outgoing dictator, and in order to replace them with another ally of the United States. If this is what the United States is trying to do by continuing to cross Mubarak as one of their allies, and at the same time continuing their military aid to the Egyptian military and continuing their talks to the Egyptian current elite, I don't think they will succeed. All what they are going to do, if this continues and if more time passes, is to frustrate further the Egyptian people. And I must say that if this revolution does not succeed in bringing the people's will for a democratic state in Egypt, for a democratic regime in Egypt, that would really allow all the political parties and all the political forces which are now founding a coalition in the streets of Egypt to rule the country democratically, Egypt will turn into an extremely violent place, and people are not going to be only angry at Mubarak or whatever military regime might survive him, but they will be even more angry, but they'll be angrier at the United States.
Okay, I'm just going to jump in here because I've got one more question briefly. What should the US do?
Stay out. Do not try to support the Mubarak regime. Do not try to pull a Pinochet or a Shahbour Bakhtiari. Do not try to save this regime. Do not try to save a friendly Egypt to the US. They have to know that the coming Egypt will very unlikely be friendly to the US. People hated Mubarak exactly for his alliance with the US, for his crimes against Gaza, for his cooperation with the United States in Iraq. These are things that are very unpopular in Egypt. And if the United States would try to force the Egyptian people to continue to be their friends, quote unquote, they will be trying to attack the Egyptian people and go against their will. So the United States should give up that. They have lost Egypt, and they must reconcile themselves for that. If they try to keep it, they are going to pay a very dear price.
Okay, Tmim al-Barghouti, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, reaction to events.